The night of my wife's bachelorette party was supposed to be one of the happiest moments before our wedding. Everyone kept telling me not to worry because it was just a tradition, a final night out with her closest friends before we officially started our life together. I trusted her completely, so I never questioned her plans. She kissed me goodbye that afternoon, smiled, and promised she would be home the next morning with funny stories to tell. Around 10 that night, while I was sitting alone finishing some last-minute wedding plans, I decided to send her a simple text. Hope you're having fun. Don't stay out too late. Love you. I expected a quick reply or maybe a selfie with her friends. Instead, a few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a short video. I smiled as I opened it, thinking it would make me feel even more excited about our wedding. At first, everything looked completely normal. Music was playing, everyone was laughing, and my fiancé waved at the camera with a huge smile. But then, just before the video ended, I noticed one tiny detail that instantly erased the smile from my face and made my heart sink. Before that night, I never had a reason to doubt the woman I was about to marry. We had spent 4 wonderful years together building what I believed was a relationship based on trust, respect, and honesty. We had already picked out our wedding venue, chosen our honeymoon destination, and spent countless evenings talking about the future we wanted to create. She always told me I was the safest place she had ever known, and I believed every word. Our friends admired our relationship because we rarely argued and always seemed to support one another. I wasn't the jealous type, and she often told people that was one of the reasons she loved me. I believed trust was something you gave freely until someone proved they didn't deserve it. Looking back now, I realize I ignored a few small warning signs because I didn't want to ruin what I thought was a perfect relationship. Sometimes love makes you focus so much on the good memories that you overlook the little moments trying to warn you something is changing. I replayed the video several times, trying to understand why that strange feeling wouldn't leave me alone. The first few seconds were exactly what I expected. Her friends were dancing, someone was singing badly into a microphone, and everyone looked like they were enjoying themselves. But near the end of the recording, as she turned the phone to show the room, I noticed something that didn't fit the story she had told me. Reflected for only a second in a large mirror behind the group was a man standing much closer to her than anyone else. It wasn't clear enough to identify him immediately, but what caught my attention was the way she quickly moved the camera away, almost as if she realized too late that he had appeared in the shot. It was only a brief moment, but once I noticed it, I couldn't ignore it. The smile I had a few moments earlier disappeared completely. I suddenly understood why people say that sometimes the smallest details reveal the biggest secrets. Instead of reacting emotionally, I forced myself to stay calm. I knew making accusations based on one unclear image would only create confusion. So I watched the video again, this time paying attention to every second. I noticed she never actually showed the entire room. The music sounded different from the kind of place she had described earlier, and I recognized the logo on one of the walls that didn't belong to the venue she claimed they were visiting. None of those details proved anything by themselves, but together they created questions I couldn't ignore. I thought about calling her immediately, but then I stopped myself. If there was a simple explanation, I wanted to hear it face to face instead of arguing over the phone. So I replied with only one sentence. Looks like you're having a great time. See you tomorrow. She responded with a heart emoji, completely unaware that I had already noticed something she never intended to show me. That night, I barely slept. My mind kept replaying the video over and over again, searching for an explanation that would make everything feel normal. I reminded myself that trust is important and that assumptions can destroy relationships just as quickly as lies. But every time I convinced myself I was overthinking, that tiny reflection came back into my mind. The next morning, she walked through the front door smiling exactly the way she always did. She hugged me, asked how my evening had been, and started telling stories about the party before I even asked a single question. I listened quietly because I wanted to see if her story matched what I had seen. She described the restaurant, the people who were there, and how the night ended. But several details didn't match the video she had sent me. That was the moment I realized the issue wasn't the reflection anymore. The issue was that the story she was telling no longer fit the evidence I already had. After breakfast, I calmly showed her the video on my phone and paused it at the exact moment where the reflection appeared. I asked her one simple question. Who is that? The confidence on her face disappeared instantly. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she tried to explain that it was just someone standing nearby and that I was reading too much into it. But the more she talked, the more uncertain her answers became. I wasn't looking for a confession. I was looking for honesty. I explained that the reflection itself wasn't what hurt me most. What hurt me was feeling like she was hiding something before our wedding. Marriage begins with trust, and if we couldn't be honest before saying our vows, how could we expect honesty afterward? She admitted there were things she should have told me earlier, and that conversation became much more serious than either of us expected when the day began. The days that followed forced both of us to have conversations we had been avoiding for a long time. We talked about communication, boundaries, and the importance of transparency in a relationship. I realized that trust isn't destroyed only by huge betrayals. Sometimes it begins to disappear through small secrets, half-truths, and the belief that hiding something is easier than explaining it. She admitted she was afraid I would misunderstand the situation, so she chose not to tell me everything. I told her that honesty might create uncomfortable conversations, but dishonesty creates lasting damage. Whether our relationship could recover depended not only on what happened that night, but on whether we were both willing to rebuild trust through complete honesty. For the first time, we stopped pretending everything was perfect and started discussing the difficult issues that should have been addressed long before the wedding. Looking back now, I often think about that simple text message I sent during her bachelorette party. I expected a cheerful video that would make me smile, and for a few seconds, it did. But one tiny detail changed everything I thought I knew. It reminded me that the truth doesn't always appear in dramatic moments. Sometimes it hides in the smallest things, a reflection, a missing detail, or a story that doesn't quite fit. Whether a relationship survives those moments depends on what happens after the truth begins to surface. That experience taught me that trust should never be taken for granted, and honesty should never depend on whether someone gets caught. A strong marriage isn't built on pretending problems don't exist. It's built on facing difficult conversations together before small secrets grow into something much bigger. Sometimes, the smallest detail is the one that changes your entire future.